Well, hello, and good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are. Welcome. Welcome to Biz with Joy. Grow your business in style. Tonight we're going to cover the waterfront. We're going to talk about things that are very important to you now. We're going to talk about business and volunteering. We're going to talk about DNA. Our guest tonight, Frank Agin. He is going to share with you so many potent, salient points about what we're involved with now, what he's doing. And this is a guy who has a business. I love the name. AmSpirit Business Connections. Spirit, essence, all of that, major. I am Joy Ruffin. I am your hostess, and I am always honored and delighted to share space and time with you. I bring to you each week men and women who are here to share their journey, their gifts, and what they're all about so that you can partake. We're always looking for good connections, and that's what you are. So welcome, and thanks for being here. And now, I'm very bad with names. He knew I would be, and he gave me permission to make boo-boos, which I did, but it's okay. I'm going to have you help me welcome our guest tonight, Frank Agin. I almost had it. How are you, and welcome.
You know what? That's fine. I went to 3 years of law school, and they messed it up. It's Agin, hard G. Not a big deal. Thank you for having me. This is what a build-up.
Frank, what can I tell you? What a pleasure to have you here. This has been a long time in the works, and I'm honored to have you as a guest because I guess I say this all the time, but I say it from my heart. I love the work you're doing. I like the name of your business. I like how you're going about it. And I want you to share with the audience the name. I want to know how you came up with AmSpirit Business Connections. How did that come about?
You know, when I was in law school, I have a law degree, I have an MBA. When I was in law school, I had my eye on starting a consulting business, and I was looking for something unique, and AmSpirit is just an abbreviation of American Spirit. You know, I love small business America. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to have my own business. I wanted to help business people. So I came up with that name when I was in law school, and when I basically bought this business, I used that name as something that would be distinctive.
Very good. I like it. I didn't know about that background that you just shared with us. You decided that you wanted to do this, and you purchased this business. Now tell us exactly what it is that you're doing with this business. We want people to get excited about, first off, the name Spirit. Any name with spirit in it, the essence of who we are, that's major. And I know later on, Frank, we're going to be talking about DNA and volunteering and technology and all of that. But what is it that you do with this business?
AmSpirit Business Connections is a membership-based organization. People pay a fee to belong, and for that, they join various groups. And for the most part, these are in-person groups, although we've been virtual over the last 14 months. Mm-hmm. But they get together on a weekly basis, and they learn about each other. They develop relationships. They get to know, like, and trust one another. And they learn about what one another does, and from that, they exchange referrals. For example, when I was an attorney and I was in a group, one of my clients might come to me and say, "Hey, Frank, I'm quitting my job. I'm starting a business." Great. As an attorney, we can do this, we can do this, we need to do this. Do you have a banking relationship? Because you're going to need to have a bank account. Well, can I use my personal account? No, not really. You need to have a separate bank account. Do you have an accountant? No, I don't know anybody. Well, I would know people through the group, and I would refer them, and they would be people that I know would take care of my clients. So in essence, that's what the business is, and we have franchisees around the country and continue to grow.
I think that's fantastic. In other words, what I heard succinctly is that you empower those who are entrepreneurial business people to expand and grow their business by aligning them with the right connections. And you do this through this membership group that you have assembled all over the country.
Correct.
I think that's fantastic, because now, Frank, more than ever, it's going to begin to explode for you when things open up again, because so many people who were not on this platform doing online businesses will be doing it more and more, so your membership probably, most likely, will explode. And one of the things that I like that you said to me, and I want to make sure that I quote this right, Frank, because this really touched me. You said, we as humans are hardwired to connect, interact, and have relationships. It's in our DNA. And even
Yeah.
with technology taking over a lot, speak to us a little bit more about that and how it's so simplistic and simple, but yet it's the meat and potatoes of what we all are about. So talk with us a little bit about that.
Well, let's go back in time a little bit. And I don't mean like 10 years or 100 years. I'm
Yes.
talking thousands and thousands of years ago. There's a famous anthropologist out there. Her name is Margaret Mead. And Margaret Mead, teaching a class, and one of the students raised his or her hand and said, Margaret, Professor Mead, what was the first sign of human civilization? And she thought about it for a bit, and everybody was waiting with bated breath as to what the answer would be. Clay pots, weapons, fire, what would it be? And her response was a healed femur. And she went on to explain that in the animal world, you don't see animals with healed femurs. You see animals that have perished, that have broken femurs. But when they came across the remains of humans whose femurs had actually healed, they knew that there was something special about humans because, well, just to back up, the femur is the bone that connects the knee to the hip.
Yeah.
And without medical care, modern medical care, it takes 6 weeks for it to heal. You can't walk on it. So somebody made the decision, I am going to stay behind. This person I care about enough, I'm going to stay with them. And so that is, that's just kind of an early sign, but we know from the anthropological record, we know from the record that humans operated in small groups, tribes, clans, whatever you want to call them, of about 150. And chances are, Joy, those were the only 150 people you saw your whole life. When you saw a stranger, it wasn't good news. And so when you operated in this group, people were, you had to have relationships. If you didn't contribute to the tribe, you were asked to leave or forcibly removed. And that was effectively a death sentence because you couldn't do it on your own. And so we're talking thousands and thousands of years of, following this cadence. This is how it works. And that's why I say we're hardwired. And we look around for the people who are doing things. You don't have to be doing nice things for me, but if you're doing nice things for other people, I will notice. Other people will notice. And they just know that, okay, I need to have that person as part of my network, a part of my tribe. So that's why I say it's hardwired. And there's tons of science out there that demonstrates this.
Frank, I love it. I love it. I love it. Let me tell you why, because all of the things that you shared with us, I had some inkling about and I knew, but this thing about relationships and where it stems from and how it began, and Margaret Mead, I mean, who doesn't know Margaret Mead, and have some insight to what she did and what she was all about. Technology has taken over a lot, yet it's added a lot too, because now through this realm, this platform that you and I are on, people, it was that small circle of people back in the day. It's changed now here, but people read through you. They see in and hear through what you're projecting and what's coming through the lens. So nothing really has changed that much, yet people are, too many people, I would say, and maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to, are shying away from this platform when this is the platform of the future. How would you speak to that? And also what you said to me, which I love, and I want you to really expound on this, small talk. How does that play into what you just shared with us?
All that plays in together. People ask me all the time, do you think, LinkedIn is going to do away with networking? And my answer is no. We have networked since we were in those tribes. And networking is not a thing of the 80s or the 90s. It's been around forever. And networking is just building relationships. That's all it is, Joy, is building relationships.
It just didn't have that name, right, Frank? It just didn't have the name networking. Yes, I agree.
Right. George Washington met Betsy Ross at church, right? They sat next to each other at church. That's how Betsy Ross got the gig to design the first American flag. It was a relationship. And so we were building relationships and networking long before technology, long before the telegram, the telephone, the internet, so on and so forth, long before StreamYard, whatever it might be. All technology has done is it allowed us to connect faster and further.
Yes.
I joke about it. The only thing that technology cannot do is two things. One, it can't fix time. So if you're on the other side of the planet, right now it's 7:10 a.m. Okay, so there are certain times where I'm not I've got a friend in Thailand. We're not talking at 3 o'clock because it's 3 a.m. somewhere. The second thing that technology hasn't been able to fix, Zoom or StreamYard, is I don't know how tall people are. Those are the only two things that I can't fix. But I can, we're on a call and I'm getting to know you and we're seeing each other. And I have the same feeling of know, like, and trust that I have with you that if we were sitting and having coffee. And so this has just allowed us to really reach out and create relationships across the globe.
Expand our community, expand our circle. It's definitely done that. And I'm chuckling away here, Frank, because one of my friends, sitting here and doing this twice a week, she said to me, I thought you were shorter. I didn't know you were this tall. You said, can't fix time and you can't tell how tall you are.
Yeah, it's true. I've run into people that I've had great relationships with, and I picked up a friend at the airport that I've known forever over Zoom, and I'm like, oh, you're that tall, and it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter, but it's just, we had, I figured he would be taller because he just kind of carries himself taller.
Isn't that interesting? Fascinating. The membership that you have, the groups and the connections that you have, when and how do you arrange the meeting so that people can connect and meet and talk about all the things that are major to them that you support and help them with, and all the other people who are in the group? How does that work?
Well, every group has its own prescribed time. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, I will be at a meeting. They're back meeting in person. They meet every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock at this particular location.
Okay.
And it's the same people coming together, and they've arranged that. They've arranged the meeting time. The meeting itself is somewhat scripted. It has a starting point and it has a cadence that they go through, and everybody has the opportunity to talk about themselves and learn about each other. And it's really about developing relationships and learning.
Absolutely. Even so, Frank, tell me this, because sometimes people shy away, but with the group and the networking and the membership and the combining and blending together to support and aid each other, what are the three major areas of concern that people come to these groups with? What would you say? I know it's varied, it's contingent upon the area, the location, and the people, but there would be always the top three that people are more interested in discovering and learning more about so they can become more powerful in what they're doing. What would that be?
I think the number one concern people have is committing each week. Can I be somewhere each week? And people are afraid of that sort of commitment. And what we find is that people really long for it. It's kind of like swimming in a cold pond, right? Or a cold pool. Once you get in, you get warm up to it. And once people get to going to the meeting every week, it's part of their life. In fact, I was at a meeting and this guy showed up who's normally in a suit and tie, showed up in Bermuda shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. And everyone's like, Bill, what happened? Did you lose your job? And he said, no, I'm going on vacation. But I told my wife we could not leave until I went to the meeting because that's his family. So that's the first thing, Joy. I think the second thing that people are concerned with is that they're not going to be able to contribute to others. That's a real concern. And people share that with me. And I tell people the fact that you're concerned about it tells me that it won't be a problem. Because if you're concerned about it, you'll be aware enough and you'll find opportunity. And then the third thing taps into that is that people are concerned that they won't get anything out of it. And my response is, listen, when you're contributing to others, they will go out of their way to help you. I mean, again, gets back to that human nature, being in the tribe, sort of a thing. So those are the main things. And I've had people, I joke about this, I've had people who have been in the organization since the Bush administration, the first Bush administration, before Bill Clinton. They've been around 30 years, and this is how they grow their business.
Frank, I have to tell you, I'm celebrating you for this because usually people will tap dance around when I ask anything that borderlines on a question like that. But the three major things that you came up with are stellar, and I think they're very original. And I think probably applies to many other groups, except people are just not what for whatever reason we're not able to share. That commitment to be there each and every day, time, whatever that is for the origin, the area, location
Yeah.
that they're in, and then that sharing of information. They don't feel that maybe they have enough to give, and then they're not sure that they're going to get enough out of it. I think that could be the foundational base for any group
Sure.
or club that you join, because you want to be, because what is it that we hear all the time, Frank? Everyone, you, me, everybody, we want to be seen, valued, and heard, right?
Yep.
And lately it seems to be we're adding in read because everybody's writing a book. So,
Yes.
and mentioning books, you have a book that you wrote. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, actually, I've written 10 books. Two of them are novels. And if you go to my website, frankagin.com, you can see, I think you at least see 8 of them. But I have 6 that are essentially personal development books. And those personal development books deal with relationships and how we become successful with our networking. And it's not really about the nuts and bolts of networking. You know, I've known people who have terrible handshakes that are wonderful people and have wonderful networks. I know people who have terrible 30-second commercials and are great people. And I know people who have great 30-second commercials who just are horrible at networking. And so I tell people it's really about your attitude and the habits you have towards yourself and others that really makes the difference. And all my books kind of touch on those things. You've got to have a strong presence. Nobody wants to network with a mope, right? You've got to be what I call altruistic. You've got to be generous, right? And if you're not, and I'm not talking money, I'm talking being willing to give somebody your time and attention. And then the last thing is what I call integrity. You got to be reliable. You've got to be willing to share the credit. You got to be willing to take the blame, because those are the things that people look at. Those are the things where they come out and they determine whether they're going to know you, like you, and trust you.
Frank, you're speaking to the choir here, and I'm loving it all for a number of reasons. You said that you have to have a presence, a commanding presence. How would you tie and relate and connect that into a presence that is full of influence? That because people are looking for influencers today, and they want a professional pro, even when they don't know that they do. And also, we don't do that corporate business dress, the strict suit and all of that, men or women anymore, but yet there's something that's happened to casual. So if you get the drift of what I'm asking you, how does one get, because I agree with everything that you said, all the things that you said, you don't have your 3 minutes, the elevator pitch might be god awful. And some of the other things that you mentioned could be horrible too. Yet that handshake, but yet when you meet and you feel and you sense that genuine, authentic, sick of that word, real person, something comes through. What is that, Frank? I heard you speak to something there, but speak a little bit more about that. And then we're going to break.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like the Supreme Court definition of pornography. We can't define it, but you know it when it's there. And it's kind of the same thing with this credibility. I did an interview on my podcast, and he was a human behavioral expert, and he talked about what he recommended people doing, and his simple recommendation is head over heart over hips, stand tall, and just walk in like you own the place. And I did a lot of coaching with my franchisees early on in the COVID lockdown, and they're coming on Zoom calls, as if the world has ended, and they, the guys haven't shaved and they're wearing t-shirts and just rolled out of bed. And I told them, I said, how do you want to show up in the world? How do you want to show up in the world? The whole world is locked down. Nobody's feeling sorry for you, in this moment. And I think we need to think about that all the time. People will feel sorry for you for about this long, right?
That long, if that long.
Right.
Thank you for that, Frank.
But if you have that credibility about you, that influence, that, hey, listen, I want to follow that person, be it a guy or a girl, they will latch onto that and hang on to that forever.
Oh, love it, love it, love it, love it. And I love the way you explain that. It was clear, precise, and I think it can register with everyone. Frank, I'm going to take a quick little commercial and then I'm going to come back. And I want us to talk briefly about your franchise opportunities and the opportunities that await those who are interested in more networking and all of that. So hold tight, don't go anywhere. I'll be back with you in just a second. And thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He is preaching to the choir, because if you're out there and you're tuning in and you're listening, let me tell you that this networking, and I love what he said, it's been here since the beginning of time. We just gave it a name in our generational time span, because, and this thing about time and tall, I love it. He's giving us lots of nuggets to walk away with. And he's got a good sense of humor. And all of you know how I love to laugh. Let me share this with you. I'm having another free workshop coming up on June the 24th. And I want you to attend, because it's going to be really fantastic. We get better and better and better as we do more and more and more, right? And you'll be getting all kinds of notifications, and I'll be doing videos about that. But in the meantime, I want you to put in the comments BIZ, B-I-Z. And I want you to get your free complimentary booklet. And it's all about biz and interviewing and the checklist and all of that. And I want to extend an invitation to you. I met Frank through a phenomenal, fantastic friend that I haven't seen in 3 or 4 years, but yet he's so right about connections, relationships. It's all about how you show up and how you leave that person feeling, so that they will remember when the time comes to recommend you to someone else. So I want you to put in the comments biz. I want you to get your free booklet. I also want to invite you to be a guest here on Biz to Biz with Joy. It's for men and women who have a message. They have a message that they want to share with others because it will benefit them. Bottom line, it's always about business, but business that has no like and trust involved, the heart, the core, the integrity, the ethics, that's all there, because that's what you look for. And on this platform, in a business where you're working online, you are mindful. So you want to do as much connecting and relating and being with a group that Frank has as you can, so that you can learn not only more about you and what you're doing, about other people, because we all learn and partake of others' knowledge. That's the beauty of life, sharing your gift and your wisdom. So that said, join me, B-I-Z, Biz, to get your free complimentary booklet. Join me on June the 24th. It'll be here before you know it. Time just goes. And I can't wait to see you there. And in the meantime, I want you also to connect with Frank, because the bottom line here is that we're all connected. That's what networking is all about. And you never know whether you can utilize his service, his business now or later. Now is the time to connect, because you never know. That said, Frank, I want to say welcome again and thank you for being here. What you're sharing with us is really fantastic. Tell us a little bit more about your AmSpirit.com connections and the franchise businesses that you have, and the opportunities there for others who might be interested.
Yeah, we've explained what the business is about, and what we're looking for is leaders. We're looking for people who are interested in getting trained in the program, learn how to develop these groups. And the unique thing about this franchise, one, it's very inexpensive, and I'm not going to get into that on this call here, but I'm happy to other people. But it's very expensive. But the real unique thing is it's designed for somebody to add on to what they're already doing. All my franchisees do something else. For a couple hours in the morning, a couple days a week, they're working our program. The rest of the time, they're realtors, they're web designers, they're consultants, they're travel agents. It runs the gamut. And those two things dovetail with one another. And there are a lot of great networking groups out there. And I always ask people, like, would you rather be a renter, or would you rather own the apartment building? And if you just want to be in a networking group and be a renter, that's fine. This is an opportunity to build networking groups and not just make more money for your business, because this will connect you with lots of people, but make money building those connections.
Frank, I love what you just said here, because you said you're looking for leaders. I am in my way too. And I use this analogy, and I'd like for you to dovetail back on what I'm going to share with you now. Leaders, the universe is crying for leaders, heart-centered leaders, the highest integrity, honor, character, principles, and all of that. Professionals. People want a professional even when they don't know, or maybe not even realize that they want a professional. Somebody who has the influence and the integrity and the honor to guide them with an open heart, because no one is better than anyone, but we all need mentors. We all need others to support us on our journey. So when you said you're looking for leaders, you're looking for professional people, I'm adding into that eagles, because that's my verbiage. There are lots of pigeons, nothing wrong with pigeons. We all start there.
Yeah.
We want eagles who want to rise, climb, and soar above the clouds, knowing they need other eagles with them. So I'm saying that's what you're looking for, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You're looking for leaders that want to be instrumental and a strong support guide for others who want the same thing. I love that. You know, you started off as an attorney, and that's to support and help and guide people. And here you're just doing it in another fashion. Before we go, the time flies here. Tell us a little bit about something else that I know that you love to do and you speak a lot about, because we spoke briefly about volunteering.
Yeah.
For you, share with us some thoughts about that. I feel the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess before it gets away from us, I want to put out there to your listeners, if anybody would like to talk to me about our franchise opportunity, this is as pitchy as I get. I would just to share about it. Maybe you know somebody, maybe you are that person, I don't know. But if you're willing to have that conversation with me, I'll send you a signed copy of one of my books. But before we hit record, you want to go ahead? You jump in.
No. Thank you for that interruption, Frank, because I ought to have done that before, but I'm glad that you did that. I'm putting up your website and your frank.com here so that people can connect with you. And this will be running straight through even when it goes onto the other networks. So good for you. And that should be up there. So no worries.
Thank you.
Well,
at any rate, we were talking before we hit record just about, just insights. And I'm asked this question all the time. What's the one thing I should be doing to get myself better network? What's the one thing? And I consistently come back to this. Find something you're passionate about and volunteer. And believe me, I don't care what community you're in, somebody needs help. It could be a school, it could be a church, it could be the chamber. There's somebody out there that needs help. Step forward, volunteer. Just don't put your name on a list. You got to be there and you got to get involved. And the reason it's important is a couple of things. One, when you go volunteer, you never do it alone. You come out of your little corner of the world to be with other people from their corner of the world to help a common cause. And again, it's got to be something you really, really love. It might be cancer charities or whatever it might be. There's so much out there. But the other thing is when you volunteer, you send a message to the rest of the world. Remember I was talking about the tribes earlier? Yes. You send a message that I care. And there are going to be people who will see you. They won't even know what you do, but they will find out what you do. Oh, he sells insurance? I didn't realize that, but I'm going to get my insurance from him because he cares or she cares. So find something out there and volunteer.
Frank, that is so powerful, because I think oftentimes I've seen it, and I'm sure you have, people think that it's all about them, but what you're doing has to be something that you're really passionate about, and do it with all of your heart. And then people will see that you're completely and totally committed and involved. And when they find out what you do, they're going to be there for you if they need you, or they're going to recommend. It doesn't matter. It works. It's twofold. And that's a great way to be. Sometimes people forget and they just, the interesting thing, Frank, we have a brief minute here, and I'd like for you to speak to this, because I like your mindset and what you're doing and saying and how you're relaying your message and your information to us. My upbringing, and I'm sure yours, not knowing but knowing, because I am empathic, is that whatever you do it to the best of your ability. Don't say I'm only doing this as a pathway to something else, and when I get there, I'm going to be doing it A1+. Do whatever it is now the best that you can. How can you speak to that when it comes to volunteering, joining groups, and anything else that you do?
My kids are big soccer players, and they're all either in college or out of college now. And I always told them, I said, every minute is an audition for the next minute, right?
Yes.
Every minute you're on the field, you're auditioning for that next minute. And it's the same thing in life. And you're right. There are so many people who, I know I'm kind of doing it half-hearted right now, but when I get the real opportunity, I won't do that. Yes. No, every moment is that audition. You just don't know who you're running into or who's going to see it. So you have to show up.
Thank you for that, Frank. One of my dear friends said that also, that any and everything that you're doing, it's always an audition. And you have to remember that how you show up in every setting, whether you're casual and Bermuda shorts or whatever, or you're with your black tie outfit, it's still an audition. Frank, the time goes here. I don't know where it goes. It goes quickly. I have to extend to an hour and then it will be too much. But in the meantime, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you share with us. What parting words, what words of wisdom would you like to leave us with? Anything at all?
I would say simply this: help somebody, reach out and do something for somebody. There's somebody out there who has greater need than you do. Find a way to help them. Somebody in business. We're all suffering right now, but if, people always ask me, what do you do when you're feeling down? What I do when I'm feeling down is I help somebody, because I can't control, it doesn't change the situation necessarily, but it changes how I feel about me. And that's the most important thing.
Frank, I love that ending. I absolutely applaud you for that, because that's what it's all about. That's why I'm here doing what I do. And I love meeting people like you who are all about giving of themselves to others and all of that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you.
I'm going to put you in the green room, but I'll be with you shortly. Say goodbye.
Thanks.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, do I love what I do? Do I love meeting new people, interviewing them, hearing and getting their stories, and helping them, supporting them to get it out here into the stratosphere? Yes, I do. And you have an open invitation, always open and willing to share your story out into the stratosphere. In the meantime, this is Biz to Biz with Joy. Grow your business in style, because everything has its own style. And if you're going to be a professional, a pro, and a leader with influence, then you want to show up as your best self everywhere you go. And this does not mean in a tux and a navy blue suit all the time. There's so much more involved in that. Thank you for being with us. It's always a pleasure to see you here. I see a lot of people here. I was so engrossed, which I get sometimes with Frank in the conversation. I don't piggyback and put you into the broadcast, but that's okay. You're here, and I'm grateful that you are. Be and stay well. Wear the mask. We will be out of this craziness sooner than later. But in the meantime, as Frank started off with the conversation, it's given us some things that we would not have had without it. We met because of this pandemic. That I'm grateful for. And you take care, be well, stay safe. And I look forward to seeing you again, like tomorrow night, same time, same station. All the best. Be and stay well. Wear the mask. Bye-bye for now.